On behalf of Trinity Financial and the East Boston CDC, I would like to welcome you to Boston East. What a beautiful day. For those of you under this tent who have been working on this project for over 13 years, we'd like to say that this day is about you, and we thank you for coming to join us. Our first speaker today is someone who recognizes the importance of building strong and healthy neighborhoods in Boston, places where families and people of all backgrounds can live, work, and play with dignity. He is a leader who is not afraid to tackle tough issues and has surrounded himself with strong leaders such as Sheila Dillon, Donald Wright, and Jim McDonough at DND, Heather Camposano, David Carlson, Rich McGinnis, Dana Whiteside, and Casey Hines, and Ray Panisi at the BPDA. Without his support for the $3 million MassWorks grant, this project would not have moved forward. Please join me in welcoming the 54th Mayor of Boston, Mayor Marty Walsh.
Thank you, Abby. And I want to thank you and everyone at Trinity and Jim and for the great job. I was saying to the governor, we walked in, we're looking for 2-bedroom, separate rooms. We spent enough time together, we might as well move in. You know, we want a waterfront view. That's all we're asking for. And we'll share the parking space. How's that? But I want to thank you. $300 a month, yeah. Exactly. But I want to thank everyone for being here today. Abby mentioned the incredible team at the city. I want to thank them, and I want to add to that team Gina Fandacker as well, a chairwoman of transportation in the city hall. They do an incredible job, and any of you that know Sheila Dillon, I mean, I think she gets embarrassed when I get up here, and maybe she loves it. She's an amazing advocate for housing, and you know, we talk all the time, and she's always on talking about how do we create more opportunities for people to live in their community. And I want to thank the incredible team. I want to thank Al Caldarelli as well and the East Boston CDC for their great work. To all the residents of East Boston, I think the elected officials are coming, but I want to thank them, all the elected officials, for their great work. There's a lot to celebrate today. East Boston represents a lot of good things that are happening in our city. It's about keeping up with the housing needs while adding value to that the whole community can enjoy. And I remember when I was running for mayor in 2013, people in East Boston were saying, it's time to get started. We need to get it going. We need to move housing forward. In 2018, people in East Boston saying to me, we need to slow down. We're going too fast, too much moving on. And I understand that. And it's a balance. It's about preserving a community and doing it in a positive way, exactly what this project represents. Our goal of adding 53,000 units of new housing all across different income levels by 2030 is more than a housing plan. And I think that kind of goes back to the community of East Boston being concerned about losing their community, or any neighborhood in Boston for that matter. It's helping us achieve goals surrounding public space, surrounding dealing with climate resiliency, dealing with arts and culture. East Boston's a great example, and this project right here is a great example of that. It has all of those different components and elements in it as we continue to move forward here. This project opens the door to 200 beautiful homes, including 26 affordable units. And Julie Barros is here, our Chief of Arts and Culture, and she pointed out a minute ago, 6 artist live workspaces, something that we have to do more of in the city of Boston. It has a public art gallery to showcase the local talent, and at the same time, it transforms the waterfront here in East Boston. It will make the shoreline accessible for the first time in 40 years. And if Sal Martino was here, he'd tell you that he used to jump off the pier here and go swimming. I don't know how true that was, but we'll say okay to Sal. But East Boston's an example of smart development and contributing to the resiliency of the waterfront. I'm proud that this development here stabilizes our shoreline with a new seawall, and it's very resilient to the effects of climate change. It's the kind of forward-thinking development that we need in the city of Boston. I'm sure the governor can say in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm proud of all the work that's been done here through true collaboration. This was a city-owned parcel that was vacant for many years, and throughout this whole area, we're taking vacant land and putting it back into productive use, like Coppersmith Village right across the street. It's going to have 49 affordable units, 22 market rate, and restaurant space. And also working with the state, the governor, and Massport and Tom Glenn, and working to make sure we continue to think about, as we design the waterfront, to make sure that we design it appropriately for all the community. There's a lot of great partners in the work that we do, and generally when you think about Jim Keefe came in and left, he said we don't start on time. The governor was here and I was here, and it's important to have a relationship that's a positive relationship. And sometimes it might be tricky behind the scenes to get to an end product, but it's important to have great partners. And I want to thank the governor and his administration. I want to thank Trinity Financial and their incredible work. I want to thank Al Caldarelli and the East Boston CDC for their incredible work. I want to thank the Chamber. I want to thank the Chamber and all the other folks that were here today. And most importantly, I want to thank the community for fighting to making sure that we got here today. Congratulations to East Boston. Congratulations to all the great work we do. Now it's my honor and pleasure to introduce to you a guy who, as we joked on the way in, saying that we spend a lot of time together. We really do. And he's a great leader, somebody who we work extremely closely on. And I think right now the three biggest issues that we're both facing as we continue to move forward is housing. And the governor put forth a very aggressive housing plan for the Commonwealth, and working with us in Boston and the regional mayors in the greater Boston area, but as well as the entire Commonwealth. A second issue, resiliency. I know that we have issues here in Boston, in the harbor here. In January and in March, we had 7 extremely high tides that we had to deal with, but he's dealing with up and down the coast, and also transportation, an issue that Gina works very closely with Stephanie Pollock on. So there's a lot of synergy between the state and the city and what the governor's doing. I'd like to introduce the governor of Massachusetts, Charlie Baker.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor, and let me start there. We have terrific relationships between the city and the state, and the mayor and I talk a lot, but our teams are talking to the leadership in the city all the time about initiatives that revolve around transportation, housing, economic development, and resiliency. And I must say that there's a ton of really positive work that comes out of that. We were doing the math today, and we think the number of housing starts that have been developed over the last 5 years in the city is somewhere around 20,000. Is that about right, Sheila? A little higher, okay. More than 20,000. And that's because of the teamwork and the effort that's being put in by so many people across the private sector, the CDCs and the nonprofit community, the community-based organizations, and the Commonwealth and the city of Boston. And this is another example of that. And the Coppersmith project across the street is sort of Exhibit B to Exhibit A. Both of these involve projects where MassWorks ended up playing an important role. But this was an opportunity for MassWorks, which we consider to be sort of the most flexible and most leverageable tool we have to help people with housing development and economic development, and in some cases even around transportation initiatives, get stuff done, because we can use it for a lot of different purposes. But the best part about MassWorks is it all comes down to the quality of the project that MassWorks is supporting. And in this particular case, it was $3 million here and $3 million over there for infrastructure work, but in both of those cases, the size and significance and importance of the projects that were attached to that made it worth it. It made it worth it for the Commonwealth, made it worth it for the city, and made it worth it for the folks that were doing the work. And it's funny, we did an executive order a couple years ago around the climate change issue, where we basically said to cities and towns we wanted to work with them on a voluntary basis to work on municipal vulnerability plans. And then once you put together the plan, you can move into hazard mitigation. And before last winter, we got about 70 communities around the Commonwealth to step up and participate with us on this. But literally after the 4 nor'easters that the mayor spoke about, we had 50 that literally showed up within a couple of days after that, which is a very good sign about people's enthusiasm to recognize and understand this. But we also have, in addition to that housing bill that the mayor mentioned, which we believe if we can get it passed will make it possible for us to do about 135,000 new units of housing over the Commonwealth, across the Commonwealth over the next 4 years or so. There's hundreds of millions of dollars that will be available on the environmental and the resiliency side of things to do the work that's required to implement and execute on these vulnerability plans. And this, for many communities up and down the coast, and not just up and down the coast, but all over Massachusetts, is an enormous deal and a significant opportunity for us to partner with our colleagues in local government to make sure we are making the changes and the investments investments that we all need to make to be sure that we can deal with the issues that are associated with climate change going forward. And the final thing I'll just say, the legislative delegation here, well, they're actually not here, but if they were here, what I would say about them is they have been terrific partners with us. Senator Boncory, Representative, this is Adrian's district, okay. The Speaker and assorted other players there at the state level have been great partners with us on all of those issues, and obviously Trinity has been a terrific partner as well. And Al, for all the work that you and the folks at the CDC do, none of this stuff happens without you. These are team-based efforts. Success has a lot of parents. That's not a bad thing, but it just happens to be a fact. And in this particular case, we're proud to be part of the family that's making this happen. So thank you very much.
So I'd also like to thank the Representative Adrian Madaro, Senator Boncory, and Councilor Lydia Edwards, all of whom were either traveling or had to be at budget hearings today. So they send their congratulations and thanks to everyone. So our final speaker today has been our long-standing partner on all of our East Boston redevelopments, and they will continue to lead the team on finding a user for the neighboring DPA site. Their work in East Boston has helped it to become a thriving neighborhood for people of all income levels, and they've never stopped reminding Trinity of what is important for the community. Please join me in welcoming our beloved community partner, Al Caldarelli of the East Boston CDC.
76 years old, the first time anyone's ever called me beloved. Let me just say that this is a wonderful day for me because I'm collecting a ton of money because I won a wager. People have bet me over the years that this would never happen. Well, today it's happening, and we're so very proud of this day and everything that's happened. But, you know, as the previous speakers have said, it would have never happened without the support of the governor of Massachusetts and all of the agencies that took part in making sure that this happened, the mayor of Boston and all of the agencies in the city of Boston who made sure that this would happen. D&D, who stayed with us over the years, believing that we could fulfill our promises, and today we have. But also, CDC and Trinity met years ago. When we first met, I thought it would be a good business relationship, that they would be good partners for the CDC, and we started to work on the Maverick project. Today, a development that was deplorable, isolated from the community, and unapproachable. I was born and raised in East Boston, lived here all my life, never met anyone from the project. They were isolated from us. Today, that development, because of the work of Trinity and the work that we did together, is a vibrant East Boston community, a major part of everything that makes East Boston great. And that's something we're all very proud of, and it happened because of Trinity. Now we're working today, 120 units are now being filled with tenants at the Orient Heights project. They're moving in this week into new buildings from what was a falling down, decrepit development. And that too will become a vibrant East Boston community. And that's all through the work of dealing with Trinity. Now we start with this. This was a long and difficult project. And every time, I think that CDC made it more difficult for Trinity. Because the first thing that happened is we said, the community demands access to the waterfront. They want to see how they can come in and view the water and take part in it like they always have. And what happened? They opened up the waterfront to the East Boston community. Then I met with some folks who reminded me, they shouldn't have reminded me because my father worked here on the waterfront all his life. That's how we supported our family, that this was the original shipbuilding facility for Donald McKay. And I talked to Trinity about it, and guess what happened? Right now, on the next site, exposed, dug out, are the original railways that Donald McKay used to launch his ships. Those will be celebrated and marked, and as we get to the next site in the future, because they listened and cared about what we were saying to them. And then finally, we pointed to a building that we had purchased that had 40 artists' workspace in it. And we were developing that building with the idea that art and the work that they do not only enhances our community for the people, but for the economics. That I never learned until we got into that building of how important that artist community was to the economic development of East Boston. We pointed to that building and talked to Trinity about it. And guess what happened? Affordable artist units in this building. But even more important, an art gallery for our artists to use and utilize and to have shows and bring the community even more into this development. All of that being said, what turned out originally to be, yeah, I think they'll be good business partners. They've become far more than good business partners. For me, they've become very dear friends, not only to me and to the CDC, but to the entire East Boston community. And for that, I just want to say one final word. Abby, thank you. Jim, thank you. Pat, thank you. All of you, East Boston, whether you move somewhere else or go somewhere else, you'll always be known as our East Boston allies. Thank you.
So before we wrap up and let you all come in and see the building and have some lunch, we would be remiss in not thanking our team. For years, these firms worked tirelessly with just the idea that maybe one day they would be paid, and maybe one day this moment would happen. So first, we would like to thank the team at Icon Architecture, led by Nancy Ludwig and Kevin O'Neill, and all the rest of their team. So if you're looking for an architect, these guys designed this building 4 times. First from 8 stories to 6 stories, from steel frame to wood frame. And I think after you take a tour, you will realize that practice does make perfect. We thank the team at McPhail, who helped us remediate what was once a brownfield, and the team at Copley Wolf, who designed this beautiful courtyard. We thank the team at Fort Point Associates, led by Jamie Fay, Rob Ritchie, Richard Jabba, who secured not 1, but 2 Chapter 91 licenses for the project, and are still closing out those final permits. We'd like to thank the team at Cranshaw, led by Bob Lyons, Chris Cianelli, Andrew Bosco. They worked with Trinity's Larry Sparrow to bring their meticulous attention to detail, professionalism, and creativity to the project. We still hope they bring it in on budget, and that doesn't always happen in a project, so we look forward to working with you again soon. Finally, to the team at Trinity Financial and Trinity Management. This is a long list. So Adam, Rebecca, Christine, Larry, Brad, Jill, Jonathan, Sadio, Aaron, Deirdre, Maddie, and the Trinity management team of Kate, Bob, Adam, Courtney, Jennifer, Allison, Eric, Frankie, and Ryan. Every day, these folks are making sure that our partners and our lenders are well, and our residents are well taken care of, and that this place looks beautiful. Finally, I'd like to give a special shout out to the newest member of Trinity Financial. This gentleman arrived at Trinity, and I happily delegated 2 tasks to him. The first was documenting and cataloging the flame testing of each piece of fabric that is in this building that our interior designers picked out. He hustled and soon became buddies with the chemist at the City of Boston so that all the furniture in our building is Boston Fire Department approved. Secondly, he knows more about every piece of furniture in this building than any 25-year-old man in the city. The second task was to run the call for artists for our gallery. He quickly became friends with Anna Salmarone of the Atlantic Works Gallery and Diane from 80 Border Street. And I think when you step inside the gallery today, you will see that he took the task to heart and curated an incredible selection of work. So please thank Aaron Horn on behalf of the team. Stand up, Aaron. And last but not least, I'd like to thank Jim, Keefe, and Patrick Lee. A common saying that these two have at Trinity is that if it fails, it's on you, meaning me or our team, but if it works, it's on them. So I think this one belongs to them. So thank you, Jim and Patrick. For most of us, this project represents the idea that anything is possible with a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck. It energizes us for the next 10-year journey, and we have some big things planned. So thank you all for joining us, for sticking with us, for being part of this transformational project, and for making this a truly wonderful day. Thank you.
One, two, three. Hoorah!